Let's hear from Jeff Gordon. He is the driver of the number 24 drive-in Hunger Chevrolet over at Hendrick Motorsports. Had a pretty good race last week at Chicagoland Speedway coming into New Hampshire. What's your outlook for this weekend, Jeff, as we begin race 2 of the chase?
Yeah, we had a great run at Chicago. Very happy with the performance, especially happy with the performance, but also pretty happy with the result. We know we could have gotten more and we not had the tire issue, but the team was fired up this week. Went in the shop and you could just see a different attitude and a lot of smiles and a lot of guys that are really excited to get here to New Hampshire because this is a great track for us. It's been a great track for the 24 team for many years, and we tested here a few weeks ago with all the Hendrick cars and thought that if we make it in the chase, we got a great opportunity, and so we're looking forward to trying to capitalize on that this weekend.
All right, we'll take your questions now. We have a couple of mic holders. We'll go with Ed, we'll go with Claire, and then we'll go here to Gordon. Go ahead, Ed. State your name and affiliation, please.
Ed Hinton, ESPN.com. Jeff, yeah, just say great track for you. The highest driver ranking here, other than Tony Stewart. Could this amount to a breakout race for you? Is like Matt says he's concerned about this place? Could this be a real breakout and surge race for you?
It certainly can. I think what happens when you go to certain tracks that are good tracks and consistent tracks for you, then you have an opportunity, and it's about capitalizing on that opportunity and making the most out of it. And that's the way I look at this track. I look at Martinsville very similar. That it's also one of those tracks. Doesn't guarantee anything. Doesn't make the job any less hard. We're gonna have to fight and claw just like we have all year long to make it in the chase and to get the results that we've had. And what's nice is when you claw and you fight, and all of a sudden you start to see your cars running better and your pit crews putting good pit stops together, and your restarts are better, and the results are better, and that's what we saw last week in Chicago, and that's certainly what we hope to continue here.
We'll go to Claire, Gordon, and then to Bob Pockrass.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Why did it come together last week? All of a sudden you sort of felt it, and then because you didn't expect you were in the chase, and then you were. Is that sort of an ease that the pressure was off, or that there's kind of a feeling that, well, we weren't going to be in it, now we are, so there's kind of an easy feeling on the team, we got this?
I think, now the pressure's on. Now we're in it, we want to show everyone why we're in it and what we can do and what we're capable of doing. And to me, the question isn't more why we stepped up and performed in Chicago, it's why haven't we leading up to Chicago, I think we have the last 3 races leading into Chicago, we were pretty good, but previously in the season, we just have had our struggles. We've had, missed opportunities, and it's hard to always put your finger on what exactly has caused those things. All I do know is that this team's ready to step up. They did at Chicago, and I mentioned that we're going to probably surprise some people, and I think we will. And coming out of Chicago with a solid finish was important to us. We had a great finish or performance going there last year. We had the strange throttle issue. That changed our whole chase for us. So it was nice to know we had an issue, fought back from it, and moved up in the points, and now we come in here to New Hampshire, a great track.
Let's go Gordon, Bob Pockrass, Mike Vega.
Gordon Kirby, Motorsport Magazine. Jeff, as you know, Juan Montoya is moving on to Indy cars. I wonder if you...
Moving back to IndyCar.
Moving back to Indy cars, yeah, 100% right. Could you just comment a little on the 7 years that he spent here, what you've seen him learn and progress, how you assess him as a racing driver, and also the challenges that maybe he's faced in a 2-car team versus a 4-car team like your own?
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly very anxious to watch IndyCar next year. I think it's going to bring a lot of attention to it, and I'm anxious in the way of, being here in these types of cars. and the struggles that you have in these types of cars with lack of grip, all the different tracks, how competitive it is among the cars and teams that are out there, how that experience is going to either enhance or hinder him, going back to the IndyCar series. But one thing has always been true, and still is for Juan. He's a fantastic race car driver. He's very aggressive, and he pulls off great moves. And I think that he's shown that here, and he's going to certainly do that in IndyCars when he goes back there as well. I think the challenges have just been a question mark on how strong is Ganassi, in the Cup Series, and is it Juan's inexperience on ovals that have kept him from winning races on those ovals? He's run really good at times, but then it seems like it doesn't always come together for that win. Is that lack of experience and just unique cars, or is it the team? And you don't always know the answers to those things. You would certainly think a guy of his talent, he'd be able to adapt to it, and so it makes you question some of those things. But I've always applauded him for making that move, because at that point in his career, all the different, the kinds of cars that he had driven did not prepare him for NASCAR, and that's a big step. And even though he didn't win as many races as I think he would have liked to have, it's been a pleasure racing with him, and I respect him tremendously.
Let's go to Bob Pockrass, Michael Vega, and Dustin Long.
Bob Parker, Sporting News. What do you believe will be more of a deterrent for teams not to kind of repeat the actions of Michael Waltrip racing a couple of weeks ago, the NASCAR penalties, or the fact that a sponsor has actually left a team over it?
Well, I think all of those things. I think that a sponsor leaving probably is certainly bigger than those penalties. I mean, that's hard to replace, especially this point in the season. I think that was a very loud message that was sent to MWR as well as everyone in the sport about what our expectations are and our actions. What they can result in if there are negative actions. So I mean, that's unfortunate. You see a team go through some decisions that they went through and choices, and you want to see a team get penalized for those types of things, no matter what team it is. But you never want to see it go to this level where they lose a sponsor. That's really unfortunate.
Let's go to Michael Vega, Dustin Long, Alan Cavanna.
Jeff, Michael Vega, Boston Globe. Just following up on that, on the broader issue of teamwork within the framework of this sport, as part of a team that has the most drivers in the chase, are you still able to work within the new rules now to help a teammate if need be on the track? And how are you able to still do that without that sitting in the back of your head as, hey, is this going to be interpreted as something that's a penalty? And as a second question to that, do you feel as a driver that it puts you in an awkward situation when you have to field the team order? And are you glad now that NASCAR said, hey, that's crossing the line?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that we're all relieved in many ways, that all we have to do is just go out there and race hard, and I think that right there, that statement that I said, gets misinterpreted maybe some ways by people that might not understand the sport as well as that garage area and members of the media that follow this sport, or diehard fans that follow the sport, because you would think, oh, well, you just race as hard as you can, all the time. And yeah, we try to go out there and race to win every single weekend. But if you're having a bad day, or you're not in a position to win the race, you're not in a position to win the championship, you're going to be a team player. That's part of having teammates. And so now, it's going to get challenging, difficult on those days. On the days where you're there competing for the win and the top 5 and top 10, there's no questions. You just go and do your job. What you love to do, and what we enjoy doing every single weekend. Where it's and that's I love that that's the position that we're in right now. We have all 4 in the chase, all battling hard, racing hard for wins and to win the championship. We don't have to worry about any kind of team orders or anything because all 4 of us are in it. It will get challenging. We get further into the chase if any of us are not in that battle, and how we're going to manage racing as hard as we can, as well as what's happening with our teammate for the championship. I think that we're not going to do anything that's going to manipulate the outcome of the race, and we're going to do everything we can to race at 100%, all the way to the checkered flag. And there might be instances where it might look like we're helping our teammate and we're not. We're racing them hard, but they're faster than us or something like that. That's where it's going to get challenging. That's where you guys are going to do your job very well and going to watch very closely of how things are being taken care of, how business is being taken care of on the racetrack, radio communications and all those things. I think not having the digitals, has been a little bit new for the team because they could talk to a spotter about our plan or talk to somebody else on another team about what we're going to do on the next pit stop, things like that. So that's changed things, and I think that's also a good thing because we want the fans and the media and everybody to know what we're talking about and what's getting ready to happen at all times. I think it only makes a better experience for the fans as well.
Got time for 3 more. Dustin, Lewis, Marty Smith.
Dustin Long, Motor Racing Network. Jeff, with last week being the first race with the new restart procedure, I think you got various opportunities from different positions in the field. What was that like? How did that work out? And will there be any additional challenges with that here just because it's a tighter, smaller track, or what might the restarts be like here in that sense?
I liked it, and I'll tell you why I liked it, because the thing that I didn't anticipate was now that let's say this weekend's more than likely going to be the outside lane, be in the line that the second place runner will be in. Before, if that person took off and got a little bit too good of a start, or this other car spun the tires, then all of a sudden they're checking up to not beat them to the line, and it's just causing chaos 5 and 10 rows back. And then you start getting people running into one another and damaging their cars and causing wrecks. Now it seems like both lanes sort of flow evenly to that to turn 1, and I think that there's not as much of a disadvantage for the other lane. Let's say, I don't know, what do we call that? I don't know what we call that lane, but the number 2 car lane. Good. I like that. Thank you, Dustin. It just seems like if you're in that lane, it might be a little bit less of a disadvantage than it used to be, because it just seemed like that the number 1 car lane would always take off a little quicker, and that momentum just continues to carry all the way to the first turn.
So Lewis, and in with Marty. Lewis?
Yes, Lewis Frank Speed Week. I was wondering if you or Alan spoke with the engine department about Junior's problem last week, and do you have any feelings that it might have just been a heating and cooling cycle thing?
No, it wasn't any of those things. We did, speak at length about it, and we feel like it's something that we had an issue with a couple years ago that we felt like we had solved, and we had several engines that had no issues and one that did, and sometimes those are just freak things. The material and the metal, that how it's manufactured, and sometimes there's just flaws, and that's the only thing that I feel like at this point that we can come up with. We haven't been able to duplicate it. that's one of the biggest challenges. I will say that I can't believe any engine made it through that race, and I'll tell you why. Because I've never turned so many RPMs and put so much load on an engine as we did there. The track was fast. The fall off was not huge. We're hitting the rev limiter. Cool temperatures, and just wide open, in the middle of the corner so early, and just carrying that long, wide open throttle all the way deep into the next corner for a long period of time. And I was concerned about everybody's engine. So, that was about as much demand as you can put on one.
Final question, Marty.
Marty Smith, ESPN. You said a moment ago that when you guys had the issue at Chicago last year, it changed your whole chase. That's sort of it puts you behind. That's sort of what the situation Dale's in right now. He blows a motor, he's 53 points out already.
Right.
How does that change your mindset? How do you have to look at your task differently when you're in that position?
Yeah, I think that in that position, you have absolutely nothing to lose, right? So you can, instead of maybe having a game plan where you were going to try to fine-tune a setup, you can just get completely outside the box and just go for broke and make very gutsy calls on pit road. You can be more aggressive as a driver. You can be more aggressive as, the engineers can be more aggressive in the setup as well. And it could benefit them greatly, could benefit us as well, but it also could cause some challenges. So, I think that they're looking at it like, listen, unless something miraculous happens, we're not going to be back in this thing to the level that they would like to be in. So, I think there's a part of you that just says, okay, let's just see how high up in points we can get. And then there's a part of you that says, we go for broke, and if we get on a heck of a roll, we can still do this. So you certainly never stop giving up hope.